All right, guys, $100 million leads. We are back again. Welcome back again. What did we read yesterday about? We would have just finished up the third problem to solve for running paid ads, which is how to make a good ad, right? We probably would have got through the when framework of the what, who, when framework, the who framework of the what, who, when framework. So who and when, and then the call to action. Okay? So the what, who, when framework. We already know the what framework. The when framework is this is how you're going to show so humans were primarily status driven, and status is given or withheld via interactions with other people. So other people are giving or withholding status to you. And so when you buy our product or our service or our offer, we want to show the person, the customer, gaining status from multiple different perspectives. The more that you can succinctly capture, the better. And each one of these different perspectives is like another key that we're trying on the lock for a specific customer. And motivation comes from deprivation, as Hormozy says. And so one of these perspectives, one of these relationships in life is yielding the least amount of status and is therefore the greatest pain point for this individual. And so we can try a bunch of different ones and hopefully nail the one that is the most painful, which will lead to the greatest amount of action for that individual. And so we're talking about spouse, we're talking about parents, children, neighbors, rivals, competitors, friends, acquaintances, coworkers, bosses, like that, relatives, in-laws. There you go. And we're going to be showing the benefit they're going to gain from these different people, like their perspective of the benefit they've gained. Whatever you're selling, it being fast, it being easy, it being, the dream outcome, really, the benefit of the dream outcome and the different facets of the dream outcome. And then fast, easy, and likely. And then the dream outcome. And then the opposite of that, this is part of the what framework. And then also the what framework is the nightmare situation. If they don't buy your product, how it's going to be painful, long, and unlikely that they get the dream outcome without your product. And then you can show the loss of status from these different angles, different people, perspectives towards the customer if they don't purchase. Cool, that's the when framework. That's the who framework. Then the when framework is we're mostly often just thinking about how the decisions affect the here and the now. But if we really want to make our ads as good as possible, we want to get people into the a bigger mindset, time frame, and seeing how past decisions have led to their current situation and how the present situation, the present decisions made now will lead to their future, right? And then we combine them all. The 8 different elements of the what, the 4 positive, 4 negative, the when, how all these different people, the interactions with different people are leading to more status or less status for the person, and then on the time horizon, the past, present, and future. And combining all 3 of these, we answer the question of why someone should be interested in what you have to offer. Nice. And that wraps up the value section. And so then the third part of the ad is the call to action. Simply stated, we want to keep the call to action quick, easy, straightforward, obvious. Cool? We're trying to be, I think that sums it up. Hormozy had a little note on domains and people, general public and the market potentially undervaluing simple, short domain names. Then we would have just about started the fourth problem to solve, which is to get their information. What am I forgetting here? All right. I want something else. Show if they can buy your solution. Okay, who? Yes. Yep. 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 Cool. Got all that. All right. When? Yep. 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 Okay. Forgot this note about being specific but not specificer. Obvious, quick, or easy, clear, clever, clear, not clever. Domains. You keep copying. Okay. Two things I forgot. So we want to be as specific as possible with our copy and our copywriting and our advertising, but not specificer, because the more specific you get, the more detailed, the more words, the longer the ad becomes, which will decrease the efficiency on the platform. So you want to be as succinct but as specific as possible at the same time, calling out specific scenarios and specific people, etc. And then finally, he just had a note basically like if you keep all your communication at around a third grade level, like your speech, your scripts, your copywriting, you're just gonna get it. That's probably the ideal reading level, comprehension level to cast the widest net and gain the biggest, largest amount of potential prospects. All right, so now we're into the fourth problem for running paid ads, which is how to collect their information. And we're going to go ahead and get that rolling right now. And after that, I'm going to come back and recall. So I'll be back in a few seconds. All right, multiple points in that last 2.5 minutes-ish of paid ads part one. So we've completed paid ads part one video. Oh, my hands are really sore from playing a lot of guitar. Anyway. So don't overcomplicate the way to collect their information. Just after they've taken the action you've told them to in your ad, or as part of your action, get them, just collect their information. And so the favorite way of Hormozy to do this, his favorite way is landing page. He's got 3 simple formats for a landing page. First one, attention avatar, headline, subheadline, box to fill in their information, contact information, submit. Landing page 2 is the same thing, except for after the subheadline, they've got an image. And then the third version is the same thing, except for they've got 3 bullet points at the bottom. Same thing as the second version, just with 3 bullet points. All right, make sure that the landing page matches your ad in its tone and its writing and its images and its colors. He also noted that the more steps you give someone to take, the fewer people that will actually take them. You're going to lose people at each step. But also you'll have higher quality leads at the end. So more steps equals less leads, but higher quality leads. Less steps equals more leads that are less quality or lower quality. Anything I'm missing? Right. Basically, don't overcomplicate it. We already said that. The simpler the better, because the simpler, the easier it is to experiment with these landing pages. Cool. That's it for paid ads part 1 video. Now we're going to jump into paid ads part 2 video. So nice. Progress always feels very good. Paid ads part 2. Here we go. I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, guys. Oh, shoot. Wrapping up for today. So we just started paid ads part 2. It's about the money stuff. It's about tracking how well are you doing, how much you spend, etc. It's the money stuff of the ads. The part 1 was just the actual ads itself, how to create the ads, how to start running ads. 3 is like how to measure how you're doing and the money stuff behind it. So, all right, what matters in ads? It's actually efficiency is more important than creativity. All ads work. It's the efficiency that matters. And so it's not about creating the best ads. It's about finding the ads that are good enough and then scaling them. And that's as simple as it is, and that's really freeing. and it makes it a lot easier and to be able to actually do. Okay? And start doing. So, what is good enough? Well, good enough is basically you're making more money than you're spending on them. Simple enough. The benchmark is really more specifically though, a 3-to-1 ratio of LTGP, lifetime gross profit, to CAC, customer acquisition cost. So if your LTGP to CAC ratio is greater than 3, then that's really, really good. Super scalable. Then you can talk about timelines and then how fast the growth cycle can occur, but we'll save that for later. We haven't gotten to that in the video. But then we get into really how much do you spend on ads? And he says, well, first of all, we're going to talk about the 3 stages of scaling paid ads. And those 3 stages are track money, 2, lose money, 3, make print money. Okay, that's the advertising machine setup. 3 stages of scaling. So today we finished up paid ads part 1. We talked about collecting the information from the prospects or the leads now, keeping it simple with the landing pages, experimenting with the landing pages, the 3 templates for the landing pages, not overcomplicating it. There's some other stuff I'm now kind of blanking on, but we'll try to recall that tomorrow. And then, man, what was that last part? All right, paid ads part 2, 3 stages of scaling ads. What matters most in the ads? Efficiency over creativity. What is it good enough to scale? Making more money than you're losing. That's it for today. I'll talk to you guys later.